We don't have a crisis of crime. We don't have a crisis of violence.
Let's say we don't have
real victims. It has destroyed the lives of real people. Michael White stabbed Sean Skellinger to death, allegedly after gloating online that he was about to, quote, cut someone. Despite that, and there's no dispute about it, he did it, Krasner would not even charge White with homicide. The case was weakened by that so badly that White, in the end, wound up with just probation. But Krasner and White to its, quote, transforming justice conference. White was used as an example, a standout example of criminal justice reform. Linda Skellinger is the mother of the murdered man, Sean Skellinger. I'm sorry about this, and I can't imagine what it must be like for you to see the man who murdered your son held up as a hero. What is it like?
Outrageous. That's the word that comes to mind. It is really outrageous. They're parading this person around as an example of criminal justice reform. It is appalling to me.
We don't have a crisis of violence.
There isn't. There is not a big spike in crime. That is not true. There is also not a big spike in violent crime. Neither one of these things is true.
We don't have a crisis of crime. We don't have a crisis of violence. And that is a category that includes gun violence, but it also includes some pretty horrible stuff, like rape committed without a weapon, or like a stabbing, things like that.
I'm telling everybody, if they're planning to come to Los Angeles for the holidays or to visit somebody, please don't. It is so violent right now. We haven't seen homicides like this since the 1990s. We can't guarantee your safety. And so I'd rather have you stay home. I hate saying that because I feel for the small business owners, but my priority is your safety. I tell everybody it's like comparing it to the movie Purge, but instead of 24 hours to commit your crimes, you have 365 days under George Gascon. People are literally getting arrested and released almost faster and sometimes faster than the officers can complete the reports. And that's a fact. George Gascon said yesterday at his press conference that the criminal justice system failed the suspect that murdered Jacqueline Avant, meaning that if there was more opportunities of programs for him in his prior arrest, this could have been avoided. He is delusional. I mean, if you look at some of the notorious murderers in Los Angeles, like Richard Ramirez, known as the Night Stalker, I don't think there's any program that he could have benefited from that would have kept us safe. The reality is there's evil out there, and that evil needs to be incarcerated. Under George Gascon, he thinks it's all about programs. Now, one last thing he said was property crimes down. There's a lot of people that are living in fear and don't want to call the police to report their crimes. In fact, we have victims calling in to some of our stations in fear, saying that the person that assaulted them the day before is already out and walking in their neighborhood. That's how fast they're getting released.